got the best coaches in the game. We really ain't playing. We regroup up in the Slack chat where the coaches debrief. We be piecing these puzzles, occupy the chunk of the pie. Ain't no lie when we hit the block. Helmets, casket is top. You be seeing helmet after helmet, helmet after helmet. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place, 12th place, 15, 16, 20. So many helmets, you got blurred vision, we got too many. Get your tech. Oh man, shit. They got us fucked up. Army, regroup. We pledge always to have that edge. We don't fire warning shots. Competition just dropped. We locked and loaded before lock. Whatever the time, yeah. Do you even correlate?
Being the best requires a willingness to outwork your competition. There's always someone smarter, faster, sharper, more naturally gifted to come around.
What's up? This is FantasyFling with the FS Army, back to look at the Millie Maker review yet again, week 12. We do a little bit tournament strategy review, MME strategy, mass multi-entry, for those of you who don't know, of top DFS pros. So we're going to take a look at that. But first off, we had some huge wins with DFS Army. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so let's start out here with some of the big wins. Let's do that one last. So we had it was a very positive ROI day. A lot of, just really good return on investment contest selection. So, like this one here didn't necessarily win the whole thing, but still was able to place high and get 4,900 back in winning. So really good stuff. And then we actually had quite a few takedowns. So Miranda, this is actually a guy, and Miranda's his daughter's name. So, and that's why he doesn't have the DFS Army avatar, because likes to rep his daughter, family first. So shout out to him. He is a really, really good high stakes small field player. So this lineup here had Josh Allen and Davis, Kincaid, D. Smith is a bring back. I think he had Denver D as well. Williams, Pacheco, who absolutely smashed. We're all over the leaderboards, as we're going to see. And this was the top score for Miranda. But as I said, he crushes the small field stuff. So the 2020 Fantasy Football World Championship placed first, $70,000. Another entry of $1,700, got back almost $23,000. Same thing. So just first after first place, 120,000 in winnings on the day. Absolutely spectacular. So shout out to Miranda. Let's go ahead and dive into the Millie Maker now. So the top lineup that won it, I swear to God, it's pretty funny because last week, once we saw an unstacked quarterback win the Millie Maker, I was like, well, I'm going to need to see it more than once before I believe it's, positive EV to play an unstacked quarterback. Well, I think it makes more sense with the Josh Allen, which is what you see here, because Josh Allen has the ability to rush for a lot of his touchdowns and break the slate, and also, spread the ball out just enough that another wide receiver doesn't get there. So in this spot, you had Josh Allen unstacked. Now, the one caveat to what I'm going to say is this was the winning score for the Millie Maker, 220 points. But the score that took down the Minimax had, I believe, Gabe Davis in it, as well as Devonta Smith, and it was 226 points. So, just because you see a score take down, the Millie Maker or any other large field GPP, it doesn't mean there wasn't a higher score, because there often is. So, for example, the Millie Maker, there's about 170,000 that play this, 177, as you can see up here. Well, with the Minimax, for example, there's 333,000 on that one. So, big difference, just a lot more lineups, combinations, and obviously that can also result into what is more optimal, as you saw up there with QB+1. But anyways, get back to the lineup. Kyron Williams was a complete smash. We loved him at DFS Army this week. You just didn't know how many carries he was going to get, but still loved him in tournaments. Didn't play him in cash, played him in tournaments. And a lot of the field in the Million Maker did as well. So he was 18% owned. Jerome Ford, I like Jerome Ford as well, but it was kind of the same thing. He was in a timeshare with Kareem Hunt. It was a great matchup going against Sammer's D, but how many carries is he going to get? Well, at least he got double-digit points in this one. So, I think what was good about this lineup, the one stack that it had was Nico Collins to Calvin Ridley. So, it's kind of a ping pong stack. So at least it had some sort of stack, much like the lineup last week. One off with Rashee Rice. I like this because the field was going to be playing Justin Watson. But Rashee Rice has been the number one wide receiver this year, and he was 5,500, low owned. I like taking a chance there. So I love that. Love Freiermuth, same thing, 2,900, low owned. Second week back, he smashed. And then, I loved Ramondre Stevenson going against the Giants. So, I think there was a lot of really good, one-off plays here, obviously, and ping pong stack of Nico Collins and Calvin Ridley. So, overall, really liked the lineup. Like I said, if this wasn't the optimal lineup, if you would have had a Gabe Davis stack with the Devonta Smith bring back, it certainly would have outscored this lineup. But overall, 220 points, won the Millie. It was contrarian, wasn't a cash lineup like basically what we saw last week. So pretty good stuff. Right now, I want to look at the MME part of the show. So like to look at a couple top DFS pros. What are they doing? What can we learn from this? And really what we're going to do is see kind of a contrast in styles right here. So there's a couple pros that I'm going to look at. Number one being Whistles. And I've covered Whistles before. And what I like about Whistles is he will, if he sees a matchup that he really likes and a spot that he really likes, he will straight up lock in that quarterback. And you really give, when you hit on that quarterback, like when you nail it, and when he locks in a quarterback, he almost always does, you really give yourself a good chance to win a large field GPP at this contest. Just putting in 150 lineups of the top scoring QB just gives yourself such a good chance, as we're going to see here. So, his top lineup was just outside the 500. And as we're going to see with some of his builds, there's a reason for that, even though he nailed the top quarterback stack, top quarterback, there was some mistakes he made that just kind of kept him. This is just wanting to scroll really fast. So that kind of kept him from beaking in this. But so like you see with some of his lineups, he had a combo of QB +1 and QB +2. So Allen to Diggs to Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis was the guy that you wanted. He had a lot of double tight end, which makes sense. Allen stacks are going to be expensive. So one way to build for Allen stacks is do double tight end. David Njoku, Trey McBride. Trey McBride, Pat Freiermuth. So as you see, just a lot of Josh Allen, QB +1, QB +2. We're seeing a combination. One had Diggs and Davis. Some of these are just having Diggs. Some are Diggs and Shakir. So a good combination. But what really stands out at this lineup, as you can see right there, 100% Josh Allen. So like I said, he will go all in on a quarterback. Josh Allen was the top scoring guy on the slate, 43 points. So absolutely nailed it. And let's go take a look at running backs. So, I think what kind of killed him from winning this thing is being under the field on Kyron Williams, only 10%. If he had 20, 30% Kyron Williams, I certainly think this lineup could have found the nuts combination. He also was under on Henry, who had a pretty good day. It wasn't a have-to-have-it day, but it was a pretty good day, and he was under on Pacheco. So just being under on Pacheco and Kyron Williams, I remember just kind of our content throughout the week at DFS Army was you got to get the we know the stacks that are probably going to be what's going to win it this week. It's going to be Stroud, it's going to be Lawrence, or it's going to be Hurts, or it's going to be Josh Allen. It's probably going to be one of those four, and they all did well. But it was really the running backs, like guessing the running backs right, that was going to make or break you. And sure enough, it did for the Whistles. By the way, if you like this kind of content, please let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know how the Millie Maker went for you. Who did you think was going to be the winning stack? Who did you play? What did you do at running back? So he, got some good plays, right? Being over on Jonathan Taylor, you didn't have to have Taylor. You didn't 20 points. He wasn't, nearly close to what you had to have. So it was basically Kyron Williams and then Pacheco. And, a little bit of some of these other guys like Stevenson had a good score, of course. And then, you needed Kyron, Pacheco, and, a little bit of Henry in the mix as well. But Stevenson did quite well. At wide receiver, it was Diggs, 100% exposure. And then, what I love about this is just kind of sometimes looking at exposures of top pros and seeing that, your process was right. So paying up, I had a lot of Diggs. I had, I wanted to spread exposures out to all of these value plays because I felt like one of these guys is going to hit and it's going to give you a good chance to be in the nuts. And it's good to see that the Whistles basically thought the same things. Mario Douglas, Justin Watson, Khalil Shakir, these guys were all above 20%, but, didn't get crazy with it. Same thing with Josh Downs, 22%. So these were a lot of the guys that we were on as our value plays, just mixing them all in because it really allowed those expensive stacks to come together. So just overall roster construction. If I play Josh Downs or I play Justin Watson or, a combination of Dorsch, some of these other guys, then I can afford the Dell to Ridley stack. I can afford Diggs, to Devonta Smith, for example. And then you'll notice he faded Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So having a little bit more of those guys, I think certainly would have helped too because they did quite well on the slate. It was a lower scoring week for the wide receivers. So, paying up really kind of hurts you this week. Evan Ingram, Cade Otton, Dalton Kincaid, all these guys above 20% with Ingram, Kincaid, and Njoku. And, these were all in great spots. And it's McBride as well. And none of them really smashed, but that's just basically how it is. So, Freiermuth, kind of overlooked that. Want to take a look at that. He had 7% Freiermuth. So he had, a little bit of positive leverage there. It was above the field. You wanted to be probably, 15 to 20 on Freiermuth to really have a lot of positive leverage, but over the field on the top score tight end. And then New England D against the Giants, totally get that. Kansas City, going against the Raiders, they didn't get there. The Raiders have just been much better. So they're really not a team that you want to target right now with your defense. Definitely not paying up anyway. But pretty good day for the Whistles. Scored pretty well. If you MME the Millie Maker and you only lose about $600, you're doing pretty good because pretty much just a losing contest. Most of the pros, I couldn't find one that had a positive ROI day in this contest. So, most of them lose money. I'm showing you the ones that lost the least amount of money. And that's what it's like when you MME. So mass multi-entry, you are going to lose more times than you are going to win by a lot. So even the best of the best, and it could be, this game can be so frustrating sometimes because you see guys like the Whistles and Utica. And these guys are so good. They literally nail the nuts play, lock them in. And because they were under on a couple running backs, ended up having a losing day. So that's what large field GPPs are like when you're mass multi-entry. It's very difficult. So JBC, StatStational. I want to take a look at his strategy because it's very much a contrast from a guy like the Whistles who will lock in a quarterback. Now, StatStational is one of the top DFS pros in his own right. So I just like to see kind of a contrast because it just goes to show there's different styles stylistically. Couldn't be further apart from the whistles, but both work when they obviously hit, which they do with these guys often. So we have a CJ Stroud stack with Nico Collins, no bring back. So I have Kyron Williams, Pacheco, Rashid Shaheed, Jalen Hyatt, Dalton Kincaid, Tank Dell. Actually, so this was Stroud +2. Now, Statsational had a lot of QB +2 from what I saw. So here we do have a bring back this time. So Stroud and Collins and Robert Woods and Travis Etienne. Now, a lot of double tight ends in some of the builds. Let's see, is there also a secondary stack here? We got Devonta Smith. So just Devonta Smith. No Bills players. We got a Kyler +2, McBride and Dortch with Kyron Williams bring back. So not forcing bring backs, but they are happening. So Allen, Shakir, Kincaid, no bring back here. This was that double tight end I was talking about. And let's look at one more of these. Stroud, Dell, Collins. Ingram bring back, double tight end, Dalton Kincaid. Awesome. So, we're going to see his exposures. We have Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. So, like I said, couldn't be further from what we just saw with the whistles. We got 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 quarterbacks. The highest exposure was Josh Allen, 16%. So just barely over the field on Josh Allen at quarterback. At running back, we have Pacheco. We have, no one really high except for Jonathan Taylor. So, JBC will pick a couple spots where he's going to kind of deviate from, being over the field. So, most of the time it's going to be 20, 30% max. But here on Jonathan Taylor, over double the field on Jonathan Taylor. So kind of a flag plant for him. And other than that, Rachaad White, Pacheco. So, no real positive leverage with Pacheco. And let's see. And under on Kyron Williams. So, that's kind of where things went a bit wrong was, again, you had to pick the running backs. And, just right on Pacheco, but not enough positive leverage, under on Kyron. Taylor, decent day, 20 points, but you needed more from him to win a large field GPP. Good in cash, not good enough in tournaments. Javonte, yeah, he wasn't close to getting there. Neither were these guys. So it's really just the running backs. And, the same thing I was just talking about with Watson. So you got a 3K guy that had multiple wide receivers out. He had gotten a lot of targets the week before. Totally get the play, 36%. Great value play that allows you to forward those Brown stacks. Josh Allen, Hurts, AJ Brown, Diggs, all the pieces from that game. So it was quite a bit over on AJ Brown. I was too. Thought it would be a great bounce back spot. He got a touchdown. I think he got 14 points, but you wanted a lot more, obviously. Had some Kirk. Positive leverage with Christian Kirk. Pittman was a good play just over the field. But, yeah, nothing crazy. A little under on Dell and faded Diggs. So that makes sense. Let's see how much Davis he had. Now, he didn't have a ton of Josh Allen, so he's not going to have a ton of, all these other guys either. Khalil Shakir, so yeah, he had about 15, 16% Josh Allen. So, the low amount that we're seeing on Shakir and Diggs makes sense. Did he play any Gabe Davis at all? Not seeing it. Doesn't look like it. I'm guessing he played some Kincaid. Yep, 32% Kincaid, Ingram, McBride, so all above 30%. Makes sense. A lot of double tight end, and it was a really shaping up as a really good tight end week. Just didn't get there, and that's what it is with tight ends. Freaking Njoku, he won me 5K this year, or maybe it's 4K on a freaking parlay, and then the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Then yesterday he dropped a touchdown. He would have been a 5-leg anytime touchdown score parlay for me. It was like plus 6,800. He was the one guy that screwed me yesterday. And so a lot of New England and Kansas City. So, those were really good spots, but doesn't always get you what you need with these defenses. Such high variance. KC certainly did get there. All right. We'll look at one more guy and then couple other contests, and we're going to wrap this up. Now, I'm going to be quick with this one. What I like about C Sears is he is closer to the whistles, and he's actually really sharp. I've seen him near the top of the Millie Maker several times, and he's an MME player. I don't think he's, one of the well-known guys. He's just one of the guys that I know from years of watching the contest and looking at the leaderboards. He's had several sweats and almost won the thing several times. I think he may have even won it once. So that's why I kind of keep an eye on his name and see what he does. And he's closer to the whistles. When he sees a spot, he will pretty much go all in. So as we saw just with his CJ Stroud exposures, Stroud, Collins, Robert Woods, he had Kyron, Dalton Kincaid, Downs, Stevenson, and Isaiah Pacheco. So no bring back, but pretty good lineup here. Stroud, Collins, Schultz, and a bring back of Christian Kirk, Rashee Rice, Kyron, Ramondre. So let's take a look and see how much he had of Kyron. Because oftentimes it's deceiving. You just see their top lineups. That those were obviously the ones that made it towards the top because they had, Kyron Williams. So he was under the field on Kyron Williams. And, that's kind of story of the day for a lot of these top pros and just sharp players. It's like if you're going to be under on a guy who scores 41 points, you're not going to be able to have a positive ROI day when, 18% of the field played that guy, even though he made a lot of other right decisions. Same thing with Isaiah Pacheco, and and that's just pretty much it. So was a flag plant for Ramondre really? If we're talking Kyron Williams being that flag plant, this is a really good day for C Sears. And flag plant Stroud stacks basically with bringbacks of Jacksonville players, Christian Kirk and. Let's see, a little bit of Zay Jones. I'm guessing faded Ridley. Yeah, so faded Tank Dell too was, and I totally understand that. I was more on Nico Collins in tournaments than Tank Dell just because of the ownership and having a similar target share, just trying to get positive leverage. So that makes sense. Looks like didn't have any Ridley. Kind of the same thing. Was just trying to fade that recency bias. That's my guess there. And then Dalton Schultz, and really Dalton Schultz was kind of had a terrible day and kind of crush some of these lineups. So that's going to wrap it up for C Sears. I want to take a look at the $33, what is it, 5,300 entries, see what won that. Like I've said before, these contests, I like these because you could turn $33 into 20K. You save one shot. You don't have to beat out, 177,000 people. It's just way easier to do so. So let's go ahead. This wants to switch on me. Let's just take a look at this real quick, and then I want to see what won the afternoon slate. I had a sweat in the afternoon slate. Ended up really having a great positive ROI day, but was pretty close to some takedowns. So this top lineup, the 120,000, as you see the difference in the Millie Maker, 206. So you don't need nearly as high of a score to win a contest like this. 14 points below what won the Millie Maker. So you don't almost need that perfect lineup to win these. So this was an Allen, Shakir, Davis, and Shakir, yeah, only 7 points. So you got 2 spots in this lineup that scored under 10 points, and it still won the contest. Had AJ Brown in it, who didn't smash. So 1, 2, 3 guys that didn't get flames in this lineup still won. That's pretty rare to see, right? Allen, Shakir, Davis. With an AJ Brown bring back, had Kyron, had Jalen Warren. Kyron really was what carried this lineup. Kyron and Josh Allen and Gabe Davis, did really well with Rashee Rice as well. So good stuff there. Nailed the Freiermuth play. Just really nailed like 4 plays that brought this lineup home. Allen, Kyron, Pat Freiermuth, and Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice was actually the top scoring wide receiver on the slate. So pretty awesome. Pretty good stuff. All right, let's look at the afternoon slate real quick, and then we will wrap this up. So Phillips won 100,000. This is the one I like to play, and it's the only one they're showing this week, so that works out. It's a $15 MME, 34,000 entries, but yeah, you could turn $15 into 100,000, and you only have to beat 34,000 of entries versus 100,000+. So this lineup, it's funny. Sometimes these afternoon slates, what I like about them, it kind of makes you think if you could just focus on a smaller pool of players more times than not, when you guess that pool of players, right, you are so much better off to win a large field GPP, because you see on these afternoon slates, the winning score of the Millie Maker out of 10 games is 220. Yet this 4-game slate scored a 218 because it really focused on the right game environments to target. So this had Jalen Hurts, which wasn't even a nuts quarterback, but you didn't have to have the perfect lineup. Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith with the Gabe Davis bring back, okay? Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams. We had Rashee Rice, McBride, and Hunter Renfrow in Denver D. So you had Hunter Renfrow was kind of the punt at 3,100, which you had a stack with Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice, and Hunter Renfrow, in addition to the Hurts, Smith, Gabe Davis stack. And then you had a Kyron one-off and Trey McBride one-off in the Denver D. 220% total ownership, which, the Millie Maker was like 102%. So it was a very contrarian week. So this was also quite contrarian for a 4-game slate, 220. Normally you'll see 260, 270, win something like this. So 218 points, really good stuff. The second lineup, how did this one do? Not nearly as good. So no need to look at that. And only 5 entries took it down. Just goes to show the Millie Maker, single bullet. This contest, 5 bullets. You don't have to MME these contests to win them. Just make sure you are, building correlated lineups. So that's the most important thing, playing the best plays and building correlated lineups. That's going to wrap it up this week. I appreciate y'all joining me. Like I said, if you like this kind of content, let me know. Hit that like button, comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button when you go live so that you don't miss an episode, specifically tournament tactics. I like to do the reviews of this contest, but we also like to have shows where we show you how to attack these contests for the specific slate in this coming week. So that is something that airs every single Friday. It goes live at 3 o'clock. So if you have that notification button on, you won't miss it. And that's going to do it for this week. I will see you all next week for another week in review. Take care, everyone.